You're still on this morning on ITV. From the Benin Network Center now, we go straight to our first discussion. We'll be looking at the state of the nation and other issues as it affects our nation, Nigeria. With us here in the studio is the Wisdom, who is a global affairs analyst. Well, it's been a while we have him on the show, and finally, he's here again this morning. Thank you for coming, Wisdom Elder.
Thank you for having me. Good morning, viewers out there.
And compliment of the season, by the way.
Yes, compliments of the season.
All right, now take us through now, Wisdom Elder. How would you assess the tension in the country?
Oh, the tension in the country.
From insecurity to inflation.
Yes,
it's every other aspect.
Yeah, actually, if you go through, a lot of people are going through things, and the country, like we have always followed activities, and we've always known how we're going to get to this stage after the election, if I must say. Before the election, we have been seeing a lot of hyperinflation, but after the election, we've seen multiple inflation and things, the cost of things keep rising, and then the rate of poverty keeps increasing. You know, and a lot of strange government policies, a lot of changes here and there that actually has affected the poor. You know, then when you look at insecurity, yeah, I think there have been series of insecurity still in the far north. You know, we were thinking that this administration was going to, you know, bring a clamp down on insecurity, but it has not really been that effective. We are still hoping that things will change because it's a new administration, and we feel this one might be a little bit enlightened or exposed than the former, you know. So, but there are a series of challenges, you know. Going through some parts of the country, you see those that did not vote for APC, like in Lagos, you see demolition of properties and all the rest of them. You see people, despite the challenging and biting hardship, you know, that people are facing, we've not seen any reflection on the labor. We've not seen any palliative that the government has actually, you know, proffered to the people. We've not seen any. Then you look at the area of the pump price of petrol, and, you know, people having different prices. You know, people have to queue up to wait for NNPC. And if NNPC doesn't have, you keep seeing different prices. So we don't have regulated prices yet. And the corruption, you know, elections here and there. You saw election in Imo State, saw election in Kogi State and Bayelsa. You saw exactly what happened. And if you look at that very well, you realize that we still don't have a committed and transparent electoral body yet. INEC is still doing a business of jamboree that is called election, which we already know after the presidential election that this INEC can never conduct a credible election. In fact, after the presidential election, the protest would have been to remove the INEC chairman, national INEC chairman, and majority of the INEC officers, because those people actually
will it really change anything?
Definitely.
Removing them from office will have any effect or
yes,
impact?
You create an impression of integrity, you create an impression of service to the people by at least changing people who actually contributed to the decadence of what we have as far as electioneering process is concerned. When you create that impression, then you restore confidence to those who might want to come back and vote next time. And after creating that impression, at least parties will not actually give up. Because if you watch, before now, our people, Nigerians, had given up on INEC. Nigerians had given up on the electioneering process. They have always known that elections would be rigged. But there was a massive campaign before the last election, and people actually went out to get their PVCs because they felt their votes were going to count and all the rest of them. But unfortunately, what happened, what transpired. And then after that, after the presidential election, you started seeing a case whereby INEC allowed the floor for parties who would have been able to either fight each other or attack each other. If you have the highest stocks, if you can snatch the highest number of ballot boxes, or if you can, sort your way, and things like that. But so okay. These have been so challenging. And then when you go to judiciary, you expected that, okay, INEC did not actually do their job. Then you want to go to judiciary and you keep seeing people who are not even considering the people, just themselves, so to speak. You saw Dino Melai saying he's not going to go to court. You saw Sam Dadi saying he's not going to go to court, and all the rest of them. The SDP candidate
of Kogi State actually said he wasn't going to court.
He said he wasn't going to. He's not going. Yeah, that's what I said. He said he's not going to court because.
Now, could it not be that even politicians have lost hope?
Of course, in the judiciary, yes, of course, they have lost hope. If you watch there was a press briefing that the Labour Party brought, where they cited that the judgment of the Supreme Court was focused on the case of PDP, not the case of Labour Party. So, and in just one stroke, the judge just gave at this one also applies to any other cases. So they faulted that, and till now there's no judgment that you can say this judgment is for the petition that Labour Party filed, and so on and so forth. So these are intricacies that doesn't make a country to appear very, very prepared and ready, especially to the international community.
Okay, now, let's now bring it back now to insecurity. Looking at the budget that was recently presented by the President to the National Assembly, what are your expectations looking at the huge sum that is inside that proposal?
Okay, I want to say that as far as politicians are concerned, except we want to change the narrative, except we are not just coming to play politics. But if we are coming to play politics, then a lot of people would have actually been consulted before this budget. Yes, the process, look at what happened at the National Assembly. We were expecting them to, sing the national anthem, and they were singing the...
They told the president that on his mandate...
So what...
Was he out of place?
What does that
Was he out of place?
It was absolutely out of place. It was not necessary. That was a party song, not a national song. So what does that say to the Senate, the National Assembly, that is supposed to go through the budget and criticize the budget or reject the some aspects of the budget or ask for a review or something? What does that say? That means they are not going to go through that.
It's a negative signal now for Nigerians.
Of course, it's a negative signal that they are already approving, putting their hands, blessings on the project, the budget, even before the thing it was presented. And then you look at the committee setup. So when politicians are involved, you look at what is going on in the country right now, it will bring in more channels and avenues for corruption. Look at the ESTA codes for all the people that traveled for this if you watch it very well, you realize that a lot of spending, a lot of excessive frivolities that are absolutely unnecessary. We are not talking about the project. We are not talking about program. When will the National Assembly run their oversight businesses over the executive as far as their duties as members of National Assembly is concerned? When will they?
So we're cutting down of governance do us any good?
Of course, definitely. It shows seriousness. It shows seriousness. If you see a leader that wants to work, you know. He comes down, he's already there, But when you see a politician that actually wants to play politics, he is getting a lot of aids, getting a lot of people, fixing people here and there, so that those people will mastermind the state, mastermind the affairs, and control and protect it. So he's just interested about himself, not interested about the people for now. Because if anybody says they are interested about the people, we would have seen federal government mass assisted transit scheme, federal government, since the removal of subsidy, we would have seen buses by federal government, sponsored and funded by federal government to subsidize transportation.
Some states got, or almost all the states got, 2 billion naira.
No,
what happened to that money?
I want to bring something to your attention. You know, I've always told you that anytime a new government comes on board and that government witnesses some loopholes that the previous government was enjoying certain frivolities. If that government is sincere, they will block it. But if they are not sincere, they can talk about it, and afterwards they will begin to redirect all those things to themselves.
Okay.
I said this when we were looking at the challenge of refineries. I said this when Emefiele was arrested. I told you that everything Emefiele started was not going to stop. They are going to continue. Yet the man was arrested. That means all the kind of money that Emefiele must have diverted will now start going to another person's account. I said that. Now the crude oil theft that was the major problem, major challenge, even from the previous administration, we've not heard that our crude oil export has risen. We've not heard that crude oil theft has reduced. We've not heard anybody that has been prosecuted or arrested or something.
Let's quickly go on this break now. We'll return back and extend the front line of the discussion. Do stay with us.
Thank you.
TMI, every opinion counts.
It's still this morning on ITV, lovely Monday morning edition. While we went on that break with Zelmelda, the National Coordinator Grassroots for Good Governance, with us in the studio, we had the privilege of having with us Aigbe Samuel. He's the MD Samsomic Concept Limited. He's the State Coordinator Coalition for Peter Obi and State Coordinator Obaseki Shoaibu Movement. Join us live here in the studio. Welcome.
Good morning.
Okay, and join us virtually all the way from Warri, Delta State, is Honorable Prosper Iyere. He's a civil rights activist. Thank you so much for joining us, Honorable Prosper Iyere.
Good morning, and thank you for having me.
It's a delight to have you. Okay, now, Wisdom Elder, you had the floor before we went on that break, and you were giving us an overview of the budget. You were actually talking about how INEC need to redeem its name. Let's quickly take it up from there, then we extend the front line of the discussion.
Yes. We, like I cited Dino Melai, when he was saying that other parties should, from henceforth, boycott every elections. And that actually should have come up earlier before now, especially after the presidential election. All parties were supposed to, as a matter of necessity, stand on their ground that the INEC chairman should be removed, because the man created a scenario all over the country that anything goes and anything can be accepted. And yet all these things were, you and I, you were watching what happened in Lagos, how people were beaten, how voters were suppressed. Electoral Act forbids that. You watch what happened in Rivers State, how people were killed. And at the end of it,
I'm bringing it to the off-cycle election.
Yes, and
bringing it to the off-cycle election. Yes, so many irregularities happen. Is that enough to boycott elections?
Please, for crying out loud, it's there in the Electoral Act. When certain things happen, you either nullify elections, but elections were not nullified in those places. There was nothing like rerun, whether Lagos, Rivers State, and so many other places that killings happened, where the places that they destroyed ballot papers, you are killing the interest of the people. And the ruling party, for crying out loud, is interested in this trend. They are interested in the menace of what we call election in this country.
We'll get back to you in a moment. Aigbe Samuel, after the election, just recently, the INEC rec in Kogi State was attacked. What will INEC do to redeem its image in the nation?
That's a very big task. Why? Because over the years, they have just built corruption into their system. Overhauling the system is going to be a very, very difficult task, except the whole INEC needs to be reconstituted. The issue we have with corruption does not start from people when they are at the top. It starts from the very base, the bottom. It's like a systematic thing in this country that corruption has come to stay. Yeah,
Okay.
have come to stay. And because of our, Domi, I think we are very lackadaisical towards the results of corruption. Nobody is approaching the way it's supposed to be approached. For instance, like my brother just said, election was over. I expected to see, if not the political parties, but those that voted their candidates to even come out and at least protest.
Okay.
I was expecting to see a couple of protests across the nation, but everybody just went as if nothing happened.
Okay.
And this was the worst election we have ever experienced in this country. So if we want to, I don't think this present INEC can even redeem their image.
Okay.
Or they're even thinking of redeeming their image at all.
Okay, let's quickly get to Prosper Iyere. Prosper Iyere, if you are still there, can Nigerians ever trust the Independent National Electoral Commission again as we move forward to other elections, off-cycle elections that we are going to be having next year in the country? Edo is going to be on the front line, and of course Ondo State too will be joining. Can INEC redeem its image before all these other off-cycle elections in the state?
Good morning, good morning, everyone, and happy Youth season. Prosper Iyere is my name. Well, just to answer your question, I think for me, INEC have to redeem its name. Nigerians, as we speak, have lost hope in INEC's capacity to run a free, fair, and credible elections in this country. But it's a work in progress, and I'm sure that they want to come out straight. The space is available for them to do so, using a bill as a case study.
Are you still there? Okay. All right, let's come back now to Wisdom Elder, about 3 trillion for security. Will that make any difference as far as insecurity is concerned in the country?
Okay, I'm here to analyze. I'm purely an analyst, so I will appeal to the conscience of everyone, those of you who are interested, whether in the current government. I'm here to give you the clear facts, all right? Now, giving a budget...
You're not interested in this current government, is that what you're saying?
No, not really. I'm here to give the people the clear analysis of things.
All right, go on.
Using the beginning of this administration, whereby he stopped subsidy without any plan. After that, he declared that they are releasing certain amount of money to 70 companies, local governments, farmers all over without any plan. And later on, they decided to push certain amount of money to all governors without any plan. They called it palliative, and so on and so forth. A budget that has no plan, just giving us figures and all the rest of them, is still going to end up the same way every other thing has ended up in this country, using the same principle, the same formula, the same standard of operation of this current administration or of the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Take, for example, you declared that subsidy is gone, not minding what it will take for the ordinary man, especially some of the people that even voted for you, or some people that even appealed to even be interested in you. You didn't care what it was going to take for them to survive We were battling with the minimum wage, we were battling with survival and all the rest of them from the previous administration. Now, after that, there has not been any plan. So the challenge this man is having currently, our president is having, is that he has no laid down plan. We have gone to a climate function, Dubai. You've seen the number of persons, you've seen the kind of money that is being released, the extra codes here and there. You see a lot of aides being appointed. All these have no plan. What is the vision of Mr. President? Okay. What is the plan? All right. When you talk about security, what have they put in place that will require such amount of money? What are we getting? And are those things relevant, or are they necessary? Or are they things that at least maybe people professionally have given as counsel or advice before you can now start telling us that this, such amount of money, at the end of the day, it might just fizzle out to somewhere else, and we'll still have the challenge of insecurity. Do you think they will not make judicious use of this money? Mark for insecurity.
The problem with insecurity has never been finance, because month after month there has been security votes. The problem is, how are these finance being used? With the present budget, I don't see money making any difference in the security architecture of this nation. What I think will work is all of us recalling ourselves together to say, this must stop. For instance, I always tell people, one of the problems we have in this country is that when we do something, we don't think about the bandwagon effect of what we are doing. About 3 weeks ago, I was apprehended inside GRA here by some hoodlums inside town, just close to Igram. And the person they operated on, or the person they took before me, was a police officer. As at that time I was released, they were still looking for the police officer. Now, this police officer...
Let's get it clear now.
Yeah.
In GRA?
In GRA.
Edo State, Nigeria?
Yes.
Were you kidnapped also?
Kidnapped, yeah.
Wow.
So, now, this police officer, for instance, they have had the privilege of providing security. And maybe, by one way or the other, I'm just insinuating, what is meant for security may have been embezzled by him, for instance. And the thing came back to him. And that's the rat race we are running in this nation. You're budgeting money for security. While they are budgeting the money, some people are already calculating how much they are going to make from it.
So money is never the problem?
It's never the problem.
Okay. Prosper Yere, Aigbe Samuel is saying money is not the problem. While Wisdom Eda is saying the presidency led by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, this administration is not prepared. What says you? What are the modalities we should look at as we are planning to see how to ensure that we have a safe country? Honorable Prosper.
Well, I think I agree completely with the other two speakers, but I think for me, Nigerians have always believed that this country needs to survive. The country needs to move further as a people. But if you look at the 2024 budget, the Minister for Budget and National Planning had already said that 3 trillion for security sector, health get 1 trillion, and the breakdown of the 2024 budget is as follows, But when you look at the previous budget, the money that is appropriated to, for example, FEMA, Federal Road Maintenance Agency, take the chunk of budget in in the previous budget over time under review. But today, you find out that previously money that is put to education is nothing compared to what they put in FEMA. And both of us, we know, Nigerians know that FEMA is just a conduit pipe for government to siphon money. But as it is today, education budget that is allocated to education and health is gradually coming up. But again, for me, I so much believe that the government will work when the choose to do so with all level of sincerity of purpose and honesty of intention. So I will agree to say that, we give them time and watch how they come out with this.
Now turning to the off-cycle election now, that took place in Bayelsa, Kogi, and Imo State, you have actually said in your opening that INEC didn't perform well. That do you think is going to have a huge impact in subsequent elections?
Definitely. What's happened?
Come again, sorry.
No, we are with Wisdom Elder now, Prosper EMA. We'll get back to you in a moment.
All right, definitely. What happened after the general election, presidential election, is actually having impact in all elections. Subsequently, every politician is learning the new trend, and that is how it's going to be. So if you allow me, I will advise people to be very careful, because politicians are learning the new trend. Probably the new trend, whether you sacrifice your life for during election or not, INEC will not nullify the election. And if you go to court, they will tell you you don't have evidence, and at the end of the day, it will not count, and probably your so that has become the trend. And another thing that INEC did during the last governorship election, general governorship election, INEC allowed players to go out and battle it out. So whoever wins in the field, and the battle I mean was not the battle of voting, the battle of either with thuggery, or the battle of snatching of ballot boxes, or the battle of rigging. You give it to the best rigger, or the highest rigger, or the person that has better influence with those who are on ground. And it's so unfortunate, if you look at it all through, you find out that some people were actually winning the election until a time where governors realized that they have a say as to the final outcome of the election, and it became the portion. So if you bring it down to Edo State, because the strength of voters have actually dropped from after the presidential election, we don't have anything to lose. So a lot of Nigerians can decide to stay in their houses and watch TV to finally see. If you see what happened in Kogi State, some places they have not even done accreditation, and they have already started calling results. So are you encouraging those people to? So they already know what is going to happen. And that governorship candidate that won has not been challenged. Every other person said they are not going to challenge him, because whatever they are going to see in the court is going to play out. So what might happen in Edo State is going to be a major battle between the party that has federal government presence and the party that has state government presence. That is the ruling party, PDP, and then the federal government presence party, that's the APC. This is what is going to happen, because for one, Labour Party is not ready to snatch ballot boxes. Labour Party is not ready to get money to sort out voters or things like that, or even to sort out officials. You understand? So that is out of the way. So we are not talking. So I want to even encourage them. Some of them are campaigning, but the real thing you have not treated. The real thing is what actually is going on as far as the election is concerned in the country.
Recently, we had an APC chieftain here in the studio, and he actually said that as far as the governorship election is concerned, that the party might be between the Labour Party. The election will be between the Labour Party and the APC. He's actually of the opinion that there's this crack in the PDP that the Labour Party might leverage on. Now, we are going close to next year. Primaries will be done in a few weeks' time from now. What are your expectations?
Not different from what we've been saying. That's just the truth. I'm really afraid for the election. Because one, in the last election, we knew we saw the fight between the current president and the state governor, which is Governor Obaseki. And I believe, in my own thinking, that the president will want to play back on that.
Where some people said Edo is not Lagos. So are you saying he's going to have his pound of flesh?
He's going to have it.
On the sitting governor?
He's going to have it. But the only thing I'm afraid of, that may snowball into violence in the state, because I know both parties are getting prepared seriously for the election.
So
Then,
it's not going to be a straight election.
It's not going to be a straight election.
You still have the floor.
Yes,
it's not going to
go
be a
ahead.
straight election.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Now, the crack in PDP, every party has crack. Whether it's Labour Party, it's APC, it's PDP, they have their own share of crisis. The crack doesn't snowball into the results in the election because it's always like that.
Okay.
Right from inception, when primary is done, the losers tend to either move to the other side or play the spoilers game. It's always like that. But how they are able to manage it is also another thing.
Okay.
Because the crack itself is a regular thing prior to every election.
Okay, now, Honorable Prosper Iyebe, the truth is, when it comes to elections, there are states you cannot just override. Edo State is one of that states. We saw how the LP movement made a very huge impact during the presidential election. Do you think in the forthcoming election, they are going to pull a heavyweight, as we still have other parties that are springing off? Even within the state level, we have the YPP, we have the SDP, and of course the Labour Party, and not forgetting the two major parties, as it were, the APC and the PDP. What are your expectations looking at the parties that are throwing their weight in this election?
Thank you. I think for me, the most important thing is the candidates. It is the candidates that matters, the person that is that the party put forth to be the flag bearer of that political party. You know, ahead of the elections on the PDP side, we have the likes of Aswe Godalo, who is of course, you know, very capable and competent in all.
You are not campaigning for him, I guess now.
I am not. I am not campaigning. I'm just trying to hold a foundation for my contribution.
Okay.
You know, the Labour Party, the wave that came with the Peter Obi wave is actually gone. Not going to be effective in this next election. But like I said, it is the person that is the flag bearer that matters. It is the credibility of you know, the person that the party would put forth as their flag bearer that would make an impact on the outcome of the election. So for me, the APC is also they are prepared, but you know, on the APC side, so we have Senator Osubo and a host of others who are also very competent. So elections are coming for next year. The most important thing is that all parties should put in their best and let Edo decide. But for the sitting government, if they had actually done a lot to have that trust for Edo people, let's hope that they will consolidate the party to celebrate 2024.
Okay, now talking about the sitting government, you can't take away the power of incumbency from a sitting governor. Won't that give the governor a 60% mark ahead of the election?
Actually, if you want to discuss...
Like I used to tell everybody that cares to listen, Obaseki, the incumbent governor of Edo State, cannot be override in the next election.
All right.
He has a stake.
Okay.
And you know, his performance will judge him in 2024. But don't forget, he has a state. He's the chief security officer of the state.
Okay.
And the election will come and go.
Okay, Honorable Iyere, we'll get back to you in a moment. Now, Wisdom Meda, quickly. He actually said the governor have a stake. Do you think that will give him a swift win next year?
All right. I think there are two ways of analyzing elections in Nigeria now. Some people are analyzing election in a very sane climb, where everything works.
But they have the floor now. We'll get back to you in a moment. Sorry for the inconveniences.
All right.
Okay.
So some people are analyzing election in a very sane climb. The book work, the classroom, the professional way of analyzing politics and elections. Yeah. So that is how most people are doing their own analysis. So power of incumbency, a credible candidate, and then a new person that is coming in that might be the wish of the people to be elected by the people. That is how most people want to analyze. I have been in Nigeria. I've been fully involved, actively involved in all the processes, a lot of electionary processes, very much active in politics. So I can tell you that the next election is going to be between those who can battle it out. Mark my word, those who can fight at the polling booth.
So are you now taking Labour Party, the YPP, SDP, and other party out of it?
Of course, because they are not going to disrupt the process. There are people who usually come to election ground to disrupt the smooth process of election.
Okay.
There are people who come to election ground to cut away ballot boxes. There are people who come to who are going to work with police or with security agencies. There are people who are going to even recruit their own private security agencies in order to battle it out. And then there are people, like you saw some INEC certified true copies being discredited and some being approved. So there are people who are going to have access to all the papers you are going to be seeing, the certified true copies. There are people who are going to have new result sheets, and there are people who are going to be capable of sorting the people that will declare the final outcome of the election. That is what is going to play, because that is what
would that affect the fate of other political parties?
That is going to affect the fate of all the politics. That is why I'm pointing out the APC, because they will be using their federal might and their federal presence, not federal voters, federal might and federal presence. Then the state government, PDP, they will be using both their own local and then some parts of their own presence as well, in terms of to disrupt certain moves in order to carry the day. And if these people carry the day, they will definitely sell through the court, and then they will definitely start ruling.
It's obvious anytime we are on you that we have to go for another break now. We'll return back in a moment. Do stay with us.
TMI, every opinion counts.
Yes, welcome back from that break. We still have our guest with us. State of the nation, outcome of the off-cycle election, then ahead of Edo State elections. What are your expectations? We still have with us Wisdom Elder, Aigbe Samuel, and of course, Honorable Prosper Iyewe joining us virtually from Warri, Delta State. It's still Daniel Prezos Edeba. We'll return back to you now. Now, you don't believe in free and fair election. Before we get to Aigbe Samuel, you don't believe in free and fair election?
Honestly,
from your submission,
yes,
obvious.
Honestly, free and fair election is what I want. Is what every well-meaning Nigerian,
but from your submission, it seems you don't believe in free and fair election again.
It's no longer tenable. It's no longer obtainable. We don't see free and fair elections in this country, and there's nothing we can do about it, except, like Dino Melai say, if we are going to boycott elections, and then until the current INEC is overhauled, we talk of total we are Nigerians. We have people who can run credible elections in this country, apart from the people who have made this country right now.
You are the one of the coordinators for Obidati movement. You are the state coordinator. Are you giving up on the obedient movement at this point?
Obedient movement is actually different from Labour Party. They are just two different things. Obedient movement was a movement that was a child of necessity, and it came up, played their role, and is over. Labour Party was not able to manage the effects of obedient movement to their advantage. Instead, most of them were threatened by the movement itself inside the party. That's why I believe what my brother said, that Labour Party seems not to have the capacity to, to man the other two political parties, because they are not able to manage what God gave them for free. Now, what I will advise the political party, let me come, because during the Obaseki second term election, we also not seen this fear of federal might. But we did something that was very, very phenomenal. That's creating a situation room, and decided to man the election from all the units. Educated our people at every unit on what to do. So as we ensure that when you count in that unit, we declare and we relate it to the central control room. So we're having the results before INEC announced. But yeah, like you said, the kind of president we have now is not the one that was like Buhari that allowed everything they do to go as it was. Speaking from the elections in Kogi especially, we'll find out that even when the people speaks their will, this issue of writing election results before the real result is announced is my only fear in Edo State.
Okay.
That's my basic fear.
Okay. Let's quickly get back now to Prosper here. Honorable Prosper, going forward, do you think that federal might is going to play out in the forthcoming election? And are you worried for the obedient movement as in the last election, in the presidential election and the governorship election, we saw how they gave their all. Edo State seems to be the heart of the obedient movement. Do you think it's going to be a thing of the past for them, and will federal might play out in the election next year for Edo State?
First, to answer your question, I don't think there will be anything like federal might in the next election, because if it were possible, they would have done it the last time. It's totally out of it. With the guidelines of INEC guidelines on elections, with all sincerity, if BVAS is going to be effective, and when you cast your vote, it goes directly to the IREFs, I don't think federal might will have too much to do. The candidate will campaign and the people will decide. Then on the flip side, I also do not want to rule out the obedient movement. The impact, the effect of the obedient movement in the Labour Party election. Take for example, if Peter Obi himself come to Edo and spend two months or just 1 month in Edo State prior to the election to be Uhuru for the Labour Party. Then on the flip side, APC and PDP seems to be having, so much momentum as we speak. But if the Labour Party comes up with a credible candidate with a clean tabula rasa, with an unblemished character, somebody that has the people, somebody that is for the people, I am sure that Labour Party will coast to victory. But meanwhile, for the record, federal might has no impact in the next election. It's the candidates that the people will vote for.
Okay, thank you very much. Now, Wisdom Elder, the deputy governor of the state has been on the forefront for a while now, away from his disbursement from the main office to another location. His allocation for his office were withheld, according to him. And recently, he granted an interview where he said even his personal life, even his wife's business, and those working for the wife were attacked. Do you think we should be experiencing such as we move towards the election next year in the state? Okay,
if that is where we are going to talk about the power of incumbency, probably we might see such. Take, for example, what happened in Imo State, whereby the governor booked all hotels in Owerri days before the election, making it impossible for any other party candidate or official to even have access to any place to lodge,
But is that no waste of fund?
Please, I said in the same climb, if we are doing analysis, what this young man is saying would have held sway. We would have at least been looking for a very credible candidate, and people would have voted their heart, and then the wish of the people would have counted. But we are no longer in that society right now. We are in a society whereby they might not do accreditation at your polling unit and results will be called. That is where we are. We're in a society whereby you might see a good number of security people manning the polling booths to make sure after casting your election, you go at least 30 meters or 40 meters from the center. And at the end of the day, it is those people there that will declare who actually won. Okay. That is what happened, majority of what happened in Imo State. And you are still in a situation whereby you are going to be having certain number of persons being given. INEC is supposed to take action actively. Now, not a particular party official is supposed to be represented in each polling booth. But what happened is in Imo State recently is a different ballgame. Everybody was shifted out from that polling booth. After casting your votes, leave. That was the instruction. So you do not know the final outcome. You do not know what was counted. All you heard was result. Okay. And certain places that elections did not hold, because there are places in Imo State that had a high level of insecurity. People were already frustrated before now, and nobody was coming to vote. But you will see good number of results coming from there. Okay. You saw what happened in Kogi State. They said those people, they have not even done accreditation, and their own has been. So you are going to have a lot of writing, and then you are going to be told to go to court. Please, my brother, that is the situation and the environment we are going to find ourselves in Edo State. Edo State. That's what we are going to see. The rift
between the governor and his deputy. This is not the first time we are seeing a governor and his deputy have a misunderstanding. It has happened. It's happened in Ondo State, another part of the country. The rift between the governor and his deputy, is he called for?
Well, for me, it's very uncalled for. Though we saw it between Odubo and Shomole also. And we are seeing it between Shaibu Phillips and Godwin Obaseki. But what I think is nobody should be disenfranchised. Everybody have right to vote and be voted for. And I think this is where we have to go back to democratic processes that will give us a credible candidate. Because if at the party level, candidates are not allowed to contest at their own free will or aspire at their own free will for the party's ticket, we will eventually have somebody who is not credible but ordained by either the party leadership or the governor or whoever is there to rule us. And that has been the problem, one of the major challenges in our electoral processes in Nigeria, where aspirants are not allowed to sell their aspiration to the people. Instead, I've been a victim of that. That I aspire for a particular position. The party leaders will first come up with the fact that, oh, they zone this to so place to enfranchise some people. Then afterwards, they tell you, step down, they are negotiating. And at the end of the day, we find out that most people that comes to power through that process doesn't really have an agenda for the position that they are going for. Just like my brother said just now, we know that this present federal government don't have any agenda. They don't have any plan, they don't have any purpose, they don't have any pursuits. Anything can come and go. Well, I think Shaibu and Governor Baseki have been having a cordial relationship before this time. Because I was the coordinator of a Baseki Shaibu movement, so I worked closely with both of them in that last election. And if I am to advise them, like one of the articles I wrote recently, is for both of them to sit down to agree to terms so that they can finish well. You know, if you start a race well and you don't end well, automatically everything you have done will go into shambles.
Okay, Honorable Prosper, just less than 1 year for this administration in Edo State to wrap off Governor Obaseki and his deputy Philip Shaibu. They had a very wonderful relationship from the beginning. Now, do you think His Excellency, the Deputy Governor, Comrade Philip Shaibu, do you think he should sacrifice loyalty on the altar of ambition? Honorable Prosper. Okay, we are losing your sound there. We are not really getting you. Okay, if you can hear us, maybe you need to unmute yourself, Honorable Prosper. We can't hear your response. Just do well to help us unmute your audio there. You got that question?
Yes,
do you think
yes.
the deputy governor should sacrifice loyalty on the altar of ambition? Because he actually have an ambition. He has declared to run for the race. But some persons are saying, since you're loyal to the governor, be loyal to the end.
Yes, of course, yes. I do support that, because I think for fairness, equity, and justice, the zoning system for Edo State should stand, you know. So, and if you look at deputy governor, I don't think he stands that chance, because I think the former governor actually come from the same area. That's number one.
Adams Oshomole.
Yes, Adams Oshomole, and they seem to have very, very, very close relationship, you know. So that's first. Then
in the past or now?
Yes, in the past. In the past, so both something that has to do with almost being biologically close, you know. So then, secondly, is that you have stayed there for 7 years, getting to 8 years. The state has at least been fair to you. You know, you should also be patriotic. I don't see any reason why the deputy governor should not also look into the state and then reconsider the right person that should at least come out to become the next governor. You know, work together as far as the party is concerned. I'm not saying that whatever he did is actually the finality. Whatever he did is his own expression of interest.
So what says you now? You have a different opinion.
Yeah, I beg to differ.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, I know that the zoning system that they are postulating.
Is there any zoning system?
Is being postulated right now, is a very fair one. At least we have had people from Edo North, from Edo South. Now let Edo Central take the lead. But the way and manner this whole process is being approached is what I don't like.
Okay.
If you have a zoning system, you should dialogue. It should be the dialogue among the state actors and between the party leaders and the candidates. There are ways these dialogues can be done. And when, you know, I have been in politics since 1992. And 1991, sorry, I've seen things like this play out. When the party agreed that, oh, this process should, the candidacy should go to so districts, and people object to it, they don't fight them. What they just do is, they galvanize delegates around the particular candidates that they want.
Okay.
So there's no need to defranchise anybody that wants to go, so that we can have a free and fair process.
Okay.
Yes, I want to say Philip is a bit ambitious. God has been very favorable to him from when he left NAS to House of Assembly, to becoming majority leader, to deputy governor, to House of Rep, and while he was in House of Rep, he became the deputy governor. So I think he should just give peace a chance. If I were to advise him, he's still very young. You still have a very long way to go. For this period, why don't you take break off political positions and allow other people to, you know.
So are you saying he should just stay off the next dispensation?
He should stay off. If you advise me, I will tell him he should stay off.
Okay.
Face your business a bit.
Okay.
Put yourself together and launch out for the next phase.
Let's see if Honorable Prosper is back now with the sound. Honorable Prosper, are you there now?
Hear me now?
We can hear you, Honorable Prosper. Okay, now, is there any zoning formula existing in the state? You are one of the state actors too. Do you not think the zoning formula should stand? There's a clamor for power shift to Edo Central. Do you believe in the zoning formula to stand?
Just to be clear, zoning is not in the constitution. It's just a human belief. You know, so but for equity and fairness and justice, I think for equity and fairness, I think the only senatorial that is clamoring for an opportunity to lead the affairs of the state is Edo Central. And with all sincerity, I think Edo Central should be given that opportunity, honestly.
Okay, you believe power should be taken to Edo Central. All right, but there's a concern let me put that now to you, Wisdom Elder. Okay. Though you are not from that axis, okay, but you believe power should rotate to that place. But some people are saying those from the ASI extraction, they have a history of betraying each other. They have a history of betrayal. To an extent, it will be difficult for them to produce the next governor in the state. What says you as we begin to round up now? Okay,
there are some inferences that can be attributed to hearsay, and there are some that can be attributed to propaganda, and there are some that could be a matter of reality. There's nobody that will see an opportunity coming to their own extraction that will not be interested, or that will not rally around their own person, whether a son or a daughter, to become that particular. That said, I also want to say this, that I do not support disenfranchising the deputy governor. Okay. But politically, the governor can manage his ambition and throw it open for any of his cabinet members to also contest. That at least will give PDP a robust primary. You understand? Okay. But within the party caucus, they would also know the candidate they will be throwing their weight on. Okay. After that, that also strengthens the party. Because remember, these candidates are also going to be coming with a lot of followers, and they need to manage their followers, maintain them within this period of primaries, so that after the primaries, the party becomes stronger to match every other party for the general campaign and election. So they need everybody now. They need to allow everybody, including those who might be very close to the current governor, to take up the tickets. But the party within the caucus knows where they are going to throw their weight to. Okay. And at the end of the day, during the primaries, that happens, then these people come back together, because you still need to galvanize certain structures of the party.
Comrade Samuel, let's take your final word as we begin to go now. We need to leave in a moment. Final word.
Well, as we're heading towards the election in Edo State, I want to appeal to the citizens of Edo State that whatever decision we take, whoever we decide to elect, we are all going to live by it. For instance, I have some of my friends, when we were preparing for, I was here one time during the presidential election, yes, and I told one of my brother here that was sitting down that, you know, we see what is wrong, we see what is not right, we support it because of our political affiliation. At the end of the day, it's still going to fall back to all of us. You don't go to a filling station and say you are from APC. You buy for the same amount PDP, Labour Party is buying.
Everybody's buying. Okay.
When kidnappers hold you on the road, they will not ask which political party you are from. When you go out there and you have problem internationally, nobody will ask of your political party. That's why in this coming election, I will appeal to every citizen in Edo State to pull party sentiment apart. Okay. And if we are able to do this, you see the party will sit up to look for a credible candidate instead of an imposition. Okay. So I will appeal to all of us to look at the credentials of those that are going to contest. Like my brother said just now, Brother Prosper, Comrade Prosper, that is not about the political party now. It's about the credibility of the candidates that each political party is presenting. Okay. This is my final
Honorable
advice.
Prosper, we need to leave in a moment. Let's have your final word as we begin to wrap up now from this segment.
A point of correction is some people are not betrayers. I think politics, they say, is authoritative allocation. And politics, it's about who get what, when, and how. Just to correct that thought. We are not. Some people are not betrayers. It is politics, and that is the game. So, on a final note, for ahead of the 2024 election, those enjoyed the massive support from the ASAM people. This is the time to give back. Support them with all your heart.
Okay. Thank you so much, Honorable Prosper, all the way from Warri Delta State, for joining us virtually, and of course, Wisdom Elder, for being on the show. Thank you so much. Egbe Samuel. We look forward to having you again. This is where we'll be drawing the curtain for this segment. We'll take a break, and that will launch us to the final segment on the program. Don't go nowhere.